Great. My name is Michael, and I am the founder and the president of the HEART Party. The HEART Party stands for Health, Environment, Accountability, Rights and Transparency. That's our mantra. That's what we believe in. And if you ask me if you can succinctly describe it in three things, and I've been asked as many times, I would say we are for freedom of choice, physically in our body, parental rights, and freedom of speech. Because once you do this, then we've lost one of the most valuable ingredients that we exist in a society. We are a free nation. We were constituted in freedom, and people have flocked to our country from all over the world to experience freedom. And we have forces, dark forces in our world today that would love to take away that freedom for their own agenda, whether that's financial, their own petty power, or some other agenda that they have, and there are many. So we are here to fight back for you, and I'm very happy that you're here. Very kindred spirit, and I'll just say this, that I've always had an interest in health. Well, not always, from my 20 years on. But by the time I reached 30, I was obsessed with the idea of helping people with their health by opening up a health retreat. So I started a health retreat in a little place called Innumerable, which is if you took a triangle of Tenterfield, Inverell and Cleanliness and zoom in into the middle there near Ashford, you would find there's this little old tin mining town. We were able to rent an old disused mine. We converted it into a health retreat, and that's when I started. I was 30 years old, so that's a third, so you do the sum, that's nearly 38 years ago. And we opened that health retreat, and you know, we weren't a threat to society. People came along, they got well, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I got really excited about seeing people transformed in their life, get well. We had young people, we had old people, we had terminal people, and we just came and got well. And so I did this for decades. So it became one of the benefits of having lived a little bit longer than most is that you actually see the transition and the changes in society. And I saw that when we went there, it was fine. You could be a naturopath. There used to be no regulation for naturopaths. And do you know why? Because they don't use anything that's harmful. But then they wanted to take they wanted to regulate naturopaths because we're massively big in Australia, regulating everything. Okay? I mean, go and try and drive down the street, you know, to me. I mean, I come in just here and I'm just appalled how slow the roads are, how many speed cameras they are, red light cameras. I think, I couldn't live here. And I'm very well travelled. I travel all over the world. Let me tell you, no country it carries on the nonsense that they carry on now. We've just sort of gone to some sort of level that defies every bit of logic. We manufacture traffic jams. We have good roads, but very slow, very, very slow. Anyway, you can see where I'm going with that. So, the regulation that has risen up in our country is not right, it's not rational, it doesn't follow common sense, and it's extended right into the medical field to the point where a few years ago they were deciding what you will do with your own body. The last bastion of freedom that a human has is the right to be able to choose what you do with your body. When I saw that they said, unless you do this, you will be penalised. If you as a parent don't follow this course that we have determined, big brother government, then you will be penalised. You will lose Part B of your family payment. Your child can't go to the childcare. So what they have introduced is a penalty. When there's a penalty anything, there has to be a crime. So what are they doing? By default, they're saying that these people are outlaws. And of course, the media was fully complicit, and they basically called people names, they recognised terms like anti-vax, and all of a sudden people that just had a great concern about their children were willing to go and read the literature, or have had a bad experience and now marginalised as being dangerous to everyone else. Terrible people. You know, what can we do with these people? Almost as if they wish the earth would open up and swallow them up. And that's what drove me into politics. I thought, has Australia come to this? Has Australia come to this where now the big brother government is going to decide what I do with my children? I couldn't believe it. And of course I went to the major political parties at the time and I spoke to them all. I said, listen, you know, like, I'm looking for someone to support. Oh no, this is very clear. We must have this. We've got to look after the children. What about our human rights? What about the rights of parents? Oh, well, you know, it's scientifically the best. I don't have a lot of confidence in science. I've had so few epiphanies on the way in my life. In fact, when you endeavour to question the so-called science, you will find out very quickly that you are marginalised. I've got many stories in my life. And I remember once I took my son to the hospital and we gave him some charcoal because he had vomiting and diarrhoea. And they said, oh, you've given him, that came out in black. And they said, what have you done? I said, oh, I gave him charcoal because he was vomiting. And it's actually stopped the vomiting. They said, I'm not exaggerating, they said, we're going to rush him by ambulance to another hospital, big hospital. I said, okay, actually, we're going to go. Thank you. They said, you walk out of the door and your child will be watered state. And I was dumbstruck. And so I ended up in the ambulance being told I was an irresponsible parent by the ambulance drivers. I ended up in the big hospital. They told me that there's a new my mouth, they're now going to operate on you. And I thought, is this all happening? Am I ended up in some sort of weird place? It got so bad that they were jabbing needles into him everywhere in the corner. The guys crying, he said, Daddy, they're hurting me. And I said, we were sitting in the room and they were jabbing needles into him. I said, this is the last time I'll do that. They tapped me on the shoulder and said, Mr. O'Neill, we're going to be doing it again in 4 hours. I just looked at my place and said, the last time they'll do is I looked at them and I said, you will not touch him again. And of course they went into a big meltdown. I'm not exaggerating, this happened, I think it was about 1989, 1990. I ended up having to barricade myself for 3 days in a children's ward at the Mildura Hospital because they were trying to take my son. They didn't know what to do with me, I didn't know how to get out there, so all I thought is I just put his beds up and I barricaded the doors and I sat there. 3 days. With all the other parties saying, well, we think it's a good idea, I have no option. But even those that say, well, maybe it's not so good, but, you know, it's in the interest of the children. I started this political party because I felt this was a bridge too far. And I used to start on and say, I would like to think that if I'm in my 20s and 30s and have a little child and have a belief in natural health, that there'd be some old codger that might stand up for my rights. And I thought, well, maybe I can do that old codger would do that. And we've been able to get together many people. We have around 7,000 members now in the political party. We've run a few elections. We've not been successful elections, we might, but we've got some of the most exhaustive studies done on conflicts of interest. You can go onto our website and have a look at it. We've had scientists work on this, and people, we went through all the decision makers in vaccine policy in Australia, and we traced it, and they all were compromised with conflicts of interest back to Big Pharma. And we realised, in any other situation this would not exist. Can you imagine if you were tendering out to buy motor cars for the Australian government, and so you put on the head of the committee to decide what's the best cars, the head of Toyota. And then he decided, well, in the interest of the country, we're all going to have a Toyota. So we would cry. The media would say, what a disgraceful thing. This is a conflict of interest. But in this area, we've allowed ourselves to be ignorant of our own health. And so they have stolen a march on us. And we've got to steal back, we've got to pull back what they've stolen from us. And that's what we endeavour to do at the Heart Party, because we see through their designs, we see that their motives are not good. We do not have a healthier country. I do see positive signs on the horizon. Before COVID, I was privileged to have a 1-hour Zoom call with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And I am absolutely delighted that he's going to be in charge of health in the USA. And I'm actually hoping that this is going to have a flow-on effect into our country, and that there will be a tide turn where these people that have no interest in your health or your children's health, that their primary motivation is market share and profitability, that these people will be called to account in the USA. And of course, you know what they say, if they sneeze in the USA, in Australia brings the Kleenex. I hope that in some ways that we will see a follow-on effect to our country, because it's quite aware we cannot live and see this happening to our children. We do not have healthy children today. It's very interesting. I was in Africa some time ago, and there was a lot of children, and one thing I noticed, the children are on the streets. The children are climbing the trees, they're falling down, the boys are laughing and tumbling, and the girls are having fun too and playing. And I thought, this is the Australia I grew up in. And now we have this safety obsession, and we sort of almost imagine that it's safe for our children to be sitting in there on their screens. Parents need to take back control and to be primary charge of the children. And the R in our name of the Heart Party is rights. And number one on those rights is parental rights, because you will find out if you end up in court and there's a judgment made on some decision that you've made for a child that disagrees with government policy, you will find out very quickly and be told, well, the child has rights, you have responsibilities. You don't actually have a right. The child, they determine, has a right, and you have a responsibility to do what the government determines is the best thing. And you will find yourself very quickly marginalised. People in our beautiful land have lost their children they're taken off them for nothing more than wanting the best for them. It's a crime against humanity, it's a crime against our children, and it's a crime, it's an insult to everybody that's gone before us, that constituted our country. I'm not speaking volunteer there. That made a big difference, didn't it? I hope you've been able to hear me. Okay, back to the beginning. Yeah, it's an insult to our constitutional framers. We gave us a constitution that in every mark, you know that in section 5123A, it actually says that the government is to have no civil conscription in regard to pharmaceutical medicine. Why was that put in there? I'll tell you why. There was a referendum that was held in 1946. Because prior to that, it was not in our constitution that the federal government was allowed to fund medical care. So they thought we need to take it to the people. It was almost defeated because Australians were so scared of government giving things to the people. We'd just come out of the Second World War the year before. This is 1946. So they made sure that it was inserted in the constitution that if the government that there would be no civil conscription, no force. It's in there. And they couldn't care less. They couldn't care less. So we're in dire straits, and I'll tell you, I lay a lot of this at Malcolm Turnbull's feet. He was not good on freedom, you know, at all. And when it came up with the no jab, no pay, that some people had a religious exemption because they were claiming Section 116 of the Constitution would guarantee them their right to make choices on their religious, how they saw religiously. He said, doesn't apply. There's a man that was out there, you know, a big song jumping up and down and singing his heart out, and you know, just with a flick, just throwing away all the war that went into, because I'm very familiar with the history that went into our Constitution to get Section 116 in there. Because they've already come, many of them have come from Europe, and they've seen the inroads of despotic governments that overruled and persecuted people on their religion. And so we thought, like America, we won't have that in our country. You're free to exercise your religion, whether that be whatever, Christianity, Buddhism, Muslim, Hinduism, whatever, you can do it. And they just threw it away. So, we are encouraged that there is a change in the wind, and we're here to fight for your right to be able to enjoy the country that should offer us a gold star freedom that shines in the rest of the world. And that's how Australia used to be. And that's why many of you come from migrant families from back in the 50s and the 60s. When I was a boy, Australia was full of migrants, mostly from Italy, Greece, Poland, and Europe after the ravages of war. And of course now we have different migrants from different war-torn countries and places coming here. And they come here with an expectation of freedom and not to have the same principles in maybe cloaked in a nice white coat that they've just come away from. And so we're fighting that will not happen. So anyway, that's a little bit about the HEART Party. That's a little bit where I come from. So we started our first health retreat in 1988 and continued to do that. And I've watched this huge change, which eventually affected my dear little life. You couldn't think of a person in the world that would be of less harm to anyone. Barbara's just come back from overseas and she was opening her suitcase and it was literally full of letters that people just came and gave to her. And she said, I like to read every letter that someone sent me. So she sat there for days reading the letters, and then she started saying, husband, you've got to listen to this letter, or this letter. So I got this one. Anyway, I couldn't believe some of them, that people would just say, I was this, I had this terrible problem, I've been in and out of hospital, they cut this out, they poisoned me here. I was about to die, and then I heard you. And then I decided to make the changes that you recommended. I want to tell you that now I'm in really good health. I've recovered, I don't take any medication, I'm back to work. It's amazing. I'd say, these are gold star rules. These are stories. And these I want to deem to be dangerous for public health. Unbelievable. We've become stupid in the extreme, and many of those. We're going to take it back. And we're not to participate in it. You know, we're going to hold our integrity and hold the line. We are conscious, thinking human beings. We're created in the image of God, and we have a brain that He expects us to use. And common sense is one of the greatest undervalued commodities in the world today. And I do believe my wife and our party, we like to operate on that level of common sense. You don't have to have a degree to have common sense. You just have life experience and think and look and observe and question